Okay, so basically, these people mean us harm, without a shadow of a doubt.
What?
These people mean us harm.
Oh, well, yeah, that we know.
We've been subjected to a lot of harassment unnecessarily. Let me give everyone an example they can understand. Imagine cops pulling you over for no good reason, and you can't think of a possible reason why they would be harsh, aggressive, or ticket you about something that makes no sense. That is the type of harassment, and think of it being more larger and constant and over worse situations. Now we're dealing with senators and congressmen and government people that know about the situation, and a lot of these people are afraid. I do believe they're afraid of being strawmanned. We've seen this in the media many times.
No, you're right. I'm just disgusted that they have no backbone.
We've seen famous people be strawmanned, politicians be strawmanned. No matter how you look at it, you all have seen this happen to politicians and famous people.
Yeah, so they tried it with us. Guys, just punch back. We had to do it too. Look, they tried to make me a man. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm. So,
and you won't even give me a chance to defend myself? Oh, you guys are digging your own little hole here, and it's getting worse. You need to rescue us and redeem yourselves. Otherwise, you guys are in big trouble. You're just making it worse for yourselves. Tremendously. Go ahead.
Where was I?
Strawmanned.
Okay. I don't know where I was going either.
You're afraid to be strawmanned.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know where I was going with that. Let me start from scratch. So they're concerned about themselves instead of us, primarily. They're afraid, and because of that, we're in a situation to where they're basically trying to justify their fear and constantly trying to come up with excuses to probably not help us. And obviously it would probably have to be like 50% of Congress that's either deciding to either not help us, or is undecided, or is too afraid to make a decision, etc., etc.
Oh, no, numbers are better than that.
Okay, do
remember the Dow Jones?
No.
And no, the numbers are better than that, trust me.
Okay.
It's not that low.
Okay, what's...
It's in the upper 70s and 80s now.
Okay, what's Dow Jones? Explain.
It was an analogy.
Oh, okay.
Inflation's going through the roof.
Okay.
Our support is going through the roof.
Oh, okay.
No, we're winning. This isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, we know we're winning because we can see what's happening to the bad guys in the situation. They look exhausted. Have you guys? Have you guys that are watching this video online? Have you seen how tired and exhausted the bad politicians are? I'm sure you guys have noticed this. They look like they've aged several years. And this is what is happening right now. A bunch of bad people kind of don't basically make it through bad things intact. Because a lot of them also go after each other too, which is also what we're seeing.
Well, that's what bad dudes do.
Mm-hmm. But now...
They do bad things.
Yes. But now we're finding out that a lot of these people, they've been having meetings.
We thought it was a trial.
Yeah. It's seen as a trial because they're making decisions as if it would be made at a trial, but they can't legally have a trial. So it ends up just being a meeting with similarities to a trial.
But here's the thing. They can't even do this legally. They're making decisions for my life, and they're not even including me in on this. And I'm going to press charges unless it comes out to my benefit or, you know, my family, meaning me and my son and my husband. You know? It has to come out to our benefit. Otherwise, we're going to have to sue the shit out of these people hard.
Exactly. So, basically, they try to justify things. Most of their stuff is based on fear. We were basically... They wanted us to come out here, and they kind of led us down this path of trying to learn the whole riddle of the monument and what it actually meant.
They tried to make me a bunny, but I'm not a bunny, I'm Alice. That means I don't put up with this crap.
Reference the bunny in Alice in Wonderland is the one who's led... Basically is the rabbit, the idiot going down the rabbit hole that doesn't succeed in anything, and Alice is the one who goes down the rabbit hole as well, but there's only one Alice, and that person has a lot of logic to the situation. Now, the thing with the monument is basically that the whole riddle is... The answer is just that George Washington and King George were basically the same person. Now, looking at it, you have to wonder, why is there a reflecting pool to show a reflection of the monument?
Because there's a doubling going on. Not two separate people in this case, but one playing two roles.
Because keep in mind, everyone, we are looking at architecture and artistry, and all artists like to put messages and things into the architecture and artistry that they create. David Bowie, for example, supposedly he said he just shoved words together because it sounded good, but then he had a whole album that was literally about the Big Brother thing. So you know that he was basically lying when he said that he just shoved words together to sound good.
He didn't want Q to murder him.
Basically, yeah. So a song about Big Brother kind of already tells you what he was actually singing about.
Yeah. You know, at the Washington Monument, there's a pyramid on the top. And two eyes, red eyes. You don't need to.
Yeah, you know, the red flashing lights at night, that's to warn,
Planes, yeah. Keep them away from knocking into it,
Especially if Marine One has to fly by in the middle of the night. But they don't need two. They need one on every side.
Like we're watching you type of it's a hint drop, you know?
Yeah.
And it's also a hint drop to the pyramids in Egypt being built in modern times, because you have to think, why would our technology digress? Because that's pretty impressive. It's like, wow, that was, thousands and thousands of years ago? Then we should be a lot more technologically advanced than we really are now, then. And why can't we do that again? The thing is, it wasn't done by... really, it doesn't even make sense.
Indeed.
How the hell could they have done that? No way. Even in modern day technology, the Luxor, there were a lot of accidents. We lived in Vegas when that was going on, and a lot of people died building that darn thing, so...
That was interesting, finding that out.
It's not a good structure. Let's just put it that way. The Luxor is fine, but I'm talking about building a pyramid. It's very dangerous, guys. That's why most of our buildings are built like a square. Triangles are very dangerous to build. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, anyway, so you have to wonder, why is it built so specifically? The Washington Monument's in the middle, but it's slightly off-center from the White House and the Jefferson. On the west side of the monument is the Lincoln Memorial. On the east side is the Senate building. So why would they put these things in such certain locations? Why are all these little monuments in certain locations? You know the little ones, right?
Yeah. It shows what could be seen from where as a vantage point, what is more imprisoned and ensnared in all of this, what is more visible to the other in proximity in time and distance. It's interesting that everything has columns, like a jail cell.
Yeah. Now, let's look at the Martin Luther King Memorial. I'm not sure if you all realize this, but the Martin Luther King Memorial can really only see the Jefferson. If you were to look where Martin Luther King's statue is, you can really only see the Jefferson from his point of view.
Yeah, I did a video yesterday about a lot of this.
I remember.
So when you put them up, make sure you put yesterday's up on our wall in the right place, and then today's on today's. Okay.
Yes, I date them.
Oh, okay, good.
So he could see the Jefferson, probably because he had a mindset like Jefferson and basically was that type of a person. And then from the Jefferson could not see Martin Luther King's statue because obviously he didn't know about him during his time frame.
That was before his time. But if you stand on the steps outside of where Jefferson is imprisoned, in a sense, you can see, especially at night, I said this in the other video yesterday, at night, it looks like the Han Solo frozen in carbonite thing. It's lit the same way. It's amazing. During the day, you can just see it across the lake there, but you can't see it with the same effect. It's like, whoa. It's pretty cool looking. But it also shows that he's like frozen in time too.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, now the Jefferson, he could, from his position inside the monument for him, you can see the White House perfectly, and vice versa. But he's also looking towards the Washington Monument with, his head is turned in that direction, right towards it. So he's looking at that too at the same time. And on the inside band of, his monument, I'm not sure, is it called the monument or a memorial for him?
I think it's memorial.
For his memorial, you can see on the inside band basically a little declaration he made a year before he ran for president. Basically saying...
President?
Yeah.
Wait, which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about him, I keep forgetting his name. He's like the third...
Jefferson?
Yeah, the Jefferson.
That's I'm sorry, it's not a memorial, it's a monument.
Okay.
Sorry. I thought you were talking about
Jefferson Monument. On the inside band, you can see basically something he said a year before he ran and became president. He declared war against the enemy of a man's mind. What would that mean?
Q.
Yeah, basically people that worm people's minds and brains and manipulate them and turn them into bad people. In other words, people that fuck with the brain. And he declared war on that. And I think George Washington died either a year before or after that. These two obviously had met. So obviously, representation is that Jefferson could see the Washington Monument and probably suspected something about George Washington. And, more importantly, Jefferson was standing inside of his monument.
Lincoln was sitting down like an electric chair, and you can see his cloak draping behind. He had an interesting kind of double life himself.
Yeah, you're sure the Jefferson is called a monument, right?
No, maybe not.
Okay, we'll double check. There might be a meaning between that being called a monument and the Lincoln being called a memorial. But either way, they had a different stance inside of their monuments entirely. Representing of a man who stands up, being stronger.
This thing. Right here.
Yeah, there we go. The difference between a man standing up, having more strength, fighting against an enemy, versus a man who's stuck to a chair, basically. So,
really sad.
Jefferson had an eye also for the White House and leading the people. So he was a very good president from what a lot of people have noticed.
Yeah, and if you look at his eye line and his sight, he's looking out to the right. He's keeping an eye on the Washington Monument. He's keeping an eye on King George Washington.
Yeah, because King George didn't die until, I think, a few years after George Washington.
Yeah, so he was keeping an eye on that Q.
Now, let's look at the Lincoln point of view. Lincoln couldn't see anything except the Washington Monument from inside his thing.
Because the Washington Monument is like this, and forced perspective makes the Capitol dome really, really small. So even though the Washington Monument looks really super narrow, it's pretty wide actually, but it looks like a stick in comparison, and it hides it. So you can't see that across the reflecting pool across the World War II memorial or anything, all you see is the Washington Monument.
Yeah, and its reflection
Yeah,
on the
in the reflecting pool.
Yeah. And, oh, by the way, he has a cloak behind him, so that might have represented something being cloaked about Mr. Lincoln. Anyway, it looks like prison bars, because it's also going all the way around the monument, even on the inside of the monument.
For the Jefferson. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that one too, but we're talking about Lincoln now.
Oh, Lincoln, okay.
The bars, the columns, are on the inside too, which is strange and interesting. Architecture, sure, but it's made to display something too. It looks like a prison cell.
He looks trapped. All of our presidents are trapped because you know what? They all have Secret Service. And you know what? President Trump turned it down. Remember that big article about that?
Yep.
And when we went there, we weren't going there to visit him, but our government hint dropped, help is here. And we're like, oh Christ, they want us to go to Florida. What the hell's in Florida? So we went and we saw what happened. He had Secret Service. And I'm here videoing, and my son, we're just, being cash, and this guy had a slung semi-automatic, and he wasn't even holding it right. I knew, he doesn't know too much, but I did, because I grew up with weapons. Not that, I was, using them, but I was around them, because my dad was, somebody who wanted to protect his family, and he was a good good rifleman. He had a good shot, and that's what I was around. So I'm not afraid of that stuff at all.
Yeah, I spoke to the guy, and kind of weird. He was wearing what looked like police riot body armor, and he had basically an assault rifle.
Yeah, and he had a badge on top of a badge. It was so unprofessional looking. It looked like a...
Well, it wasn't a badge on top of a badge. It was just a strip where you would think you would see something that says police, but it says Secret Service, which I thought was very strange.
Yeah, that's not...
And I was for something like that, I would expect a lot more of them if they needed actual assault rifles.
Yeah.
I didn't see very many other people
But it
there.
wasn't slung properly, and it was so sloppy, and I'm like, who trained you?
Yeah.
I didn't say that, but that's what went through my head.
Yeah, but...
I'm like, this is fake.
And then we went to D.C. and found all this stuff about the monuments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there's more details, but let's move past that. Either way, Marine 1 kept flying overhead, wanting us to look at the Jefferson, basically by flying that pathway, and then stopping as soon as we got over there. And then we parked alongside somewhere out further away from the Jefferson, and then the Marine 1 flies overhead twice. And then we put the information up online about what we found out. Marine 1 stops bothering us.
Exactly. Now, guys, when I say I'm not afraid of guns and I grew up with them, whether I'm pro-gun or not, I didn't say. I've never said if I'm pro-gun or anti-guns or anything like that. I don't like people dying, I don't like, but I'm not going to let my viewpoint on that be known because I don't want it being skewed one way or the other. All I said was that I'm not afraid of guns, guys. I grew up with them, and yes, I do know how to handle weapons properly. I was trained, and I was trained for a reason. It was for protection. It wasn't for hunting or anything like that.